Well, hello everybody and happy Friday. Welcome to Aquarius Rising Africa, as well as Solutions with Aquarius Rising Africa. And we're doing our usual weekly Friday afternoon drop-in with ARA. So I'm really happy to have you guys here. And to speak about today why Angelina Jolie and lovely Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt were both here not too long ago. Hey, Carol, nice to see you. Saw you earlier today on Catherine's show as well. So welcome here. Hello, Erica. Really good to see you guys here. So we've got some interesting ones today, and I have to tell you, my goat has been a little bit rocked. Well, that's, I guess you can call it that. I'm a little bit, it's not always nice to go into these things, especially when you know what's happening with these celebrities in Africa and what they're up to. And especially when, hello Liz, hello Jessica, so good to have you. Hello God So Rules. Hello, yeah, lovely Aussies on the horizon again. So yeah, so we're going to look at Angelina's interests in especially Namibia. Now you all know I often speak about Namibia. Morné is also Namibian as well. I've been traveling to Namibia since 2002 actually, as a healer. And I know when I started going there, no other healers were going there, right? I was probably the first healer going there, and started a lot of stuff there in terms of the healing community. Opened up a lot of doors for people to go in, just from a healing perspective, that is. So Namibia is a country that is very, very close to my heart. It's a very, very powerful country, just in terms of the ley lines and stuff like that. So when I look at this stuff, I do get a little bit scratched, I must say. It feels like someone has sort of got their claws into my nervous system, that's for sure. But we'll get there. And, you know, as we start revealing these things little bit by little bit, you know, so the light gets in and less of that stuff can occur, right? Anyway, but before we get there, I want to just go through the week, the schedule for this upcoming week as well. And I want to just talk about our show today. Those of you who've been watching Caleb Jade, he's been on Aquarius Rising Africa for maybe a month now, maybe just more. Really, really coming up with some incredible truth bombs. I had him and Kerry Saint on today on the Focus on Australia, which was phenomenal. Both of them are adopted, and both of them spent time in this horrific system. So it was really good to catch their perspective and pretty much how they found God in the camp, or so to speak, of the enemy. But it was a beautiful interview. So if you guys haven't caught that yet, I'd like to say, please do. There's so much, you know, just like we revealing all the stuff that we are doing right now. It's really important to be able to talk about the stolen children, because that's really what they are. They're not, most of them aren't willingly given up for adoption. They're literally, many of them are stolen from their parents and trafficked into the system by very nefarious people and very nefarious families. So it's really good to see their perspective and how we come through it. And, you know, it's good for us, even though we might not have been adopted, to figure, you know, to see what is going on and how it all fits in. Because even, you know, even if we are watching people like Jessie, who's been on the channel for a long time now, these are the people that Jessie talks about, right? We know what Jessie was trained, her position, and she often talks about the people and the kids that were trained in the system and who were taken, kidnapped, abused. These are the people that she's talking about. And especially, you know, Caleb, in terms of his military, I know he was joke, military career in the US military. So very, very interesting, and I want to sort of invite you guys to watch that. Anyway, okay, let's have a look at the upcoming schedule for the week. If we can just pop that up. Bryce is not here this week. You all have got Thanksgiving in America, so we will be joining you with Thanksgiving here from our side as well. So we're not going to have any shows on Monday. Tuesday, do we have Alice Parola on this week? Morné, I don't think we have Alice Parola on this week. She was on this past week. So she'll be on next week again. And I'm very excited because for those of you guys who've actually watched the previous interview with Alice, we were speaking about her brother, who was also part of that horrific abuse system in the family. And but she'll be hopefully, and her brother, I hope, will be joining us as well to speak about what he experienced. And as we know, talking about these things are so important, right? And to express it. But anyway, I think we've got the dates wrong there. I think Alice is only on next week again, right? Wednesday, we have Jessie on again, and that'll be 2:30 our time. But I'm wondering if that is going to be 2:30 or if we're going on a later show. I'm sure that that's probably the normal time, that the 3 p.m. or the 4 p.m. show. So I think our time is on Wednesday is wrong. I'll ask Morné just to fix that. Then, of course, we have Caleb on Thursday again, Memoirs of an Invisible Warrior, not soldier, warrior. So Caleb will be on with us again on Thursday evening, evening for me, morning for you probably. Anyway, and then Friday, I'll have Catherine Edwards on my show, and no, not Memoirs of an Invisible Warrior, Morné, on Friday. Catherine Edwards is not Morné. I don't know what happened to Morné today, but anyway, Friday is not Memoirs of an Invisible Warrior with Catherine Edwards. I'll be doing actually The Prophet with Khalil Gibran. We're going to start going through The Prophet. So I don't know if you guys know the book The Prophet. I'm just going to pop it up here on the side. So that is going to be something that we're going to be looking at, which is very, very cool. I don't know if you guys know this book at all. Khalil Gibran is absolutely one of my favorite people. Obviously not around anymore. He's an ancient guy, but we're going to start looking at the wisdom of what's in this book, which is absolutely incredible. And then again on Sunday, we won't be doing anything. And then, of course, we will be doing our usual drop-in. And then on Sunday, we will have Caleb on again. Caleb's generally on a Sunday. Cool. So we'll put up the corrected schedule, and then you guys can actually have a look at that as well. Okie dokie. Well, I've been praying that I can be impeccable with my word when it comes to dealing with Angelina Jolie and her shenanigans in Africa. But I'm just going to start by saying, I'm just going to read for you this little article that was actually coming out. Let me just see when it was. Angelina talked about how she gave birth in Namibia, right? Shiloh was born on the 27th of May, 2006 in Namibia, in a little hospital in Swakopmund, right? Brad was here, and I remember I was in Namibia at the time that event, if you will, took place. My one friend Zelda, in fact, she was the one that invited me to Namibia to work there, actually. She was teaching Brad. They were in the desert, and she was teaching Brad how to fire spin. And Angelina was highly pregnant at the time, so she didn't have much to do with Angelina, just like kind of a high and a bye type thing. But she got talking to Brad, and they were hanging out around campfires together and stuff like that. Interesting character. I won't relate what was said, but I don't think it's my business to relate that, but nonetheless. Anyway, I'm going to read you this, and then I'm going to go more into it, which is I find very interesting. Hollywood star Angelina Jolie, along with her husband, actor Brad Pitt, many years ago decided that their child, they will not give birth in America. I don't know who wrote this, but that's very bad English. And the reason for this was the ubiquitous paparazzi, which the stellar couple did not give passage. This is very bad English. I wonder who wrote this article. It's certainly not great English at all. Okay. Only money helped Shiloh to be born. In her interviews, Angelina often talks about children. This time, she pleased the fans with the details of how and where she saw the light of Shiloh, their firstborn. Me and Brad decided that the birth will take place in Namibia. 2 months before this event, we flew to this country. They found a paid clinic where they had to give birth. At the appointed time, I was brought to the hospital, but then I was examined by a doctor. He said that it was necessary to conduct an ultrasound study and then most likely an operation. Unfortunately, there was no ultrasound machine in the hospital, and only thanks to the fact that we had money, I was given this procedure. In general, I had a cesarean section, and the birth ended safely. It turns out that only money helped my baby to come into the world. It's painful to realize that there are countries that still do not have the most basic things. But in fact, the hospital was full of mothers who perhaps also needed to undergo this examination. After all, it is very important to know the baby is developing, or how the baby is developing, and before delivery, its location, etc. Lack of money is a big problem, not only in Namibia, but in many other countries. It is very important that the world community does it and tries, if possible, to solve it. I really want to know who wrote this article, because this is shocking English. And this should never, ever have been actually even put out there for anyone. A grade 1 child will know that this is not the right English. In 2006, between the actors and the press, a serious war unfolded. It came to that the paparazzi did not let Angelina even go into the store, so as not to turn her into the object of their cameras. It was then, without telling a word, the couple chose a country in South Africa where the firstborn was to appear. The Namibian authorities have taken unprecedented security measures at the birth of and the birth of the actress was held in strict secrecy. Shiloh, which means peaceful, was born on 27 May 1996, they write here. Shiloh was born in 2006. So I'm not sure if they're deliberately giving us a wrong date, because we know how these people lie about ages and stuff like that. But judging by this article, this person does not know how to speak English. A few months later, the star couple sold their photos to the editions of People and Hello for $10 million. At the end of 2014, Shiloh stated that she considered herself a boy and asked to be called John. She dresses in boys' clothes and wears a short haircut. Angelina and Brad adopted her gender identity, although they make Shiloh regularly visit a psychologist. Okay. Now, let's just look at that for starters. Okay. Which Hollywood couple who have got millions and billions and trillions, right, stashed away because they are both big name celebs, are going to come to a little outback town in the heart of Africa that doesn't even have a machine, a sonar machine, where your baby can be scanned, to make sure that everything is fine? I doubt very much, especially not when it's your first child and when don't even have the basic equipment to make sure that the baby is fine, right? That for me is super suspicious to begin with. You would not do that. You would not do that. And especially, I mean, I can understand people loving Africa. What's not to love about Africa? I always say that. You come here, you don't want to go home. But to give birth to your first child, where you don't even have a sonar machine, right? And only money was able to help her because then she could get money and sort it out or what have you. Sorry, I don't buy into that, not for 1 second. However, let's look at this. Now, we know how these covens work, right? So there's no doubt in my mind that Angelina is one of the Hollywood, or one of the, yeah, let's call it the Hollywood witches. And there's no doubt in my mind that we spoke last week about Oprah, who's the water witch, right? America's water witch. And this little feud that she and Angelina have, because Angelina is talking about how Oprah's school is very dodgy, yeah, in Africa. And yes, we know that Oprah's school is dodgy. There's no question around that. But then they make it sound like there's this competition because now Oprah is bad and Angelina is good. Sorry, I'm just looking at this. Okay. They make it sound like Oprah's bad and Angelina is good. I'm not sure what that's about. Morné, I'm not sure what this is about. You put in the private chat here. Okay. Really, I'm not sure what that is. So maybe you can just let me know on my cell phone. Because you're saying something about in the telephone call will be on November 21st. I'm not sure what that's about at all. Okay. Sorry, guys, I was just distracted by that. Morné, not on here. Okay. That is not, sorry, that has not got nothing to do with what we're talking about. Okay, so we know that they love Africa, right? And as I said last week, that it's all about Africa, right, for them. So the inheritance, now the reason why these people will come and have their children birthed in a place like Africa. Namibia is very, very powerful, right? It's the ley lines, the portals, where it's situated. If you look at Namibia, it forms, especially the Moon Valley, forms part of Earth's original crust, right? So it is a very, very sacred country. And there are a lot of celebrities that are coming in and out of here all the time. So now, why would Angelina Jolie have Shiloh born in Africa? Now, it's simple. Because the inheritance to spiritual gates, to the land, to the people, to the animals, okay, to be an authority so that she can be an authority, and I'm talking about Shiloh, right? To make alliances and covenants with the spirits that are currently over this land. It's all about spiritual covenants, rights, and authorities, as well as ties. So Shiloh will therefore be raised up into the position where she possesses these rights. There you have it. Now, lo and behold, so Shiloh gets born in a little place called the Cottage Hospital in Swakopmund. Now, interesting, because according to what I was listening to Gene Decode also a couple of years ago regarding the witches of Hollywood, Angelina is the fire witch. And guess where she was staying? At a place called the Burning Shore in Swakopmund. Now, the Burning Shore was a little, very, very nice place, apparently, but luxurious, right? But why stay at the Burning Shore when there was a lot of other places that she could have been staying at? So that's where she was staying, at the Burning Shore. Now, my mind, that correlates to the fact that she is connected to the element of fire, right? So fast forward just a little bit. Angelina and Brad come to Namibia and they get themselves connected with a wildlife sanctuary called Nankusa. Now, Nankusa is run by a couple called Marelise and Rudy. Now, that's not anything new. Any article that you go and read, you're going to see that Marelise and Rudy are the owners of Nankusa. But I do know that that place first belonged to Marelise's parents, right? And her father, but that's really irrelevant here. But she and her husband then take over Nankusa. Interesting that Rudy, her husband, is the doctor, the personal physician of Hage Geigenkop, who is the president of Namibia. Right? So he's the personal physician of the president of Namibia. Right. Now, my information tells me, my informants tell me that Angelina paid for that entire land, right? North of Windhoek, Nankusa. So she bought the land and paid for it for Marelise and Rudy, who's the personal physician of Hage Geigenkop. Hage Geigenkop, can't pronounce his name properly, right? He's the president of Namibia. Okay, so not only is he the president of Namibia, but they run clinics, right, for the San people as well, the Khoisan people. Now we know that the Khoisan people are the first people, are the First Nation people. There we go. And they are now pushing vaccinations, schooling, all sorts of things to the first people of Namibia as well, right? So that in itself is a little bit suspicious for me, right? What I also find just a little bit suspicious, by the way, that might be just a little bit off the record right now. One of my good friends who is a journalist in Namibia, in 2010, she was working for, I think it was something called Team Namibia, and they were promoting Namibian local products. So at this stage, Angelina is heavily involved in Namibia. She's hectically involved in Namibia. So she sends out a request, and if Angelina could please just do a little 2-sentence promotion, just asking the youth of Namibia to support local produce. In other words, you know, local products, you know, yeah, it's very big that we try and support our local people. So she then asked Angelina's agent if they would just do a little thing where Angelina would just say, because you're so pro Namibia, can you please just get the youth to support Namibian local products? An icy cold no came back. Now the question is, if you're really that pro Namibia and you're really that pro the country where they can't even afford a sonar machine for your baby or anyone else's baby there for that matter, lots of other women, why would you not want your people or as many local people as to support the local economy rather than supporting foreigners? And generally at that stage, no doubt, it would have been China, right? So that in itself is a very, very interesting topic, right? In 2020, Nankusa, by the way, faced several criminal investigations, like illegal capturing and transportation and selling of animals. And yeah, in particular, it was elephants, right? Destined for Europe. So that I find, there they are, that's Marelise and her husband, Rudy, who is the personal physician of Hagi Geigenkop, who is, they are the owners of Nankusa, as I said, and they're the ones that are now, and I know the court case, I think they actually won it. I don't know too much about the court case, but I do believe they actually won it, right? So Shiloh was born in Namibia in 2006, right? So in 2017, Angelina and Shiloh open a wildlife sanctuary called the Shiloh Wildlife Sanctuary, especially for rhinos and elephants, injured or orphaned, right? And it was partnered by the Ministry of Environment and Tourism. So guys, when we're looking at all of this, and let me go back to what we were saying previously as well. Let's go back to why these people would be coming to have their children born in Africa, where she could go any other place in the world, right? It's about the inheritance of the spiritual gates of Namibia, right? To the land, to the people. Now we have land already. They have bought, they have paid for land north of Windhoek, right? Through Nankusa, who's which is actually a cheetah. They have a lot of cheetahs and things there as well. So Morné, I don't know if you can pick up some of those pictures and things. I want to just show some of the viewers. Yeah, there we go. So there's these teeny tiny little baby cheetahs that Angelina just loves so much. I mean, these are the cutest little things. Now cheetah is very different to your normal big cats, right? It's not one of the big five, but they're incredible. They are almost like dogs. They purr like cats, but they have the nature of a dog. So you can actually tame them. And they are beautiful. Anyone who knows anything about a cheetah, I mean, these animals can run. They can run, right? They can run. They are beautiful. So look at her posing with the cheetahs of Nankusa. And just move on a few more names. Hang on, let me try and get some pictures up here. Okay. Now this is Shiloh, right? And I'm sorry, guys, the more I look at this, and there again, this is my speculation, and I'm really trying to be as impeccable with my word as what I possibly can when it comes to this. That does not even look like a girl to me. And I'm just looking in the chat here as well, where Windbringer, Jolie is not a woman. She has had surrogates to have her kids. Look, I don't know that. But I do believe that. I really do believe that is super, super, super possible. We know how they wear these crazy preggy belly things. I mean, even Beyonce, there's this well-known picture of Beyonce. I think she was on Australia. She was being interviewed on Australia's Sky News or something, right? Where she's sitting down and this whole fake preggy belly thing of hers caves in. I mean, how does that even happen, right? So I do believe that that's very possible. I also know when you're looking at, and I've mentioned this before, we're looking at a lot of these stars that have been transgendered, right? We're looking at Nicole Kidman, for example. Now, I know this from having spent many hours chatting with Fiona Barnett, who's one of Australia's, well, she's Australia's original whistleblower, the way that I understand, and I really have gone through a lot. She spent a lot of time with Nicole Kidman in the system. And Anthony Kidman, who was Fiona's main abuser and handler, actually, according to what Fiona was saying, transgendered Nicole already in the womb while she was still in her mother's womb. And we know that these things are possible. We understand that completely, which is one of the reasons why Nicole could not give birth. And it's a well-known fact that her kids were adopted. So everything on the outside was girly and beautiful and looks like this tall, willowy, beautiful, lanky woman. But on the inside, her reproductive system was not feminine. So that's why she couldn't. Possibly the same happened with Angelina. I don't know that, right? And it makes sense that she would. But I'm looking at Shiloh on the right. To me, it just seems like that child was born a boy. She looks like a boy to me. I'm sorry. And it would not, and it would make sense to me that that is very, very possible. And yes, yeah, Jennifer Aniston and Angelina both married Brad. True story. And, you know, if we're believing a lot of what we're saying, right, or a lot of what we're seeing, Brad looks a lot more feminine. Actually, as he gets older, he actually looks feminine. I mean, Jennifer Aniston, to me, has always been one of the really beautiful women in the world, right? I really do believe that. So, and it looks, the more we're seeing it, and they're showing the straight back, whatever. Hey, I'm always being told I'm born a man. I don't really care. I know I'm not born a man. I'm a tall, strong woman. My father was 6'6". I've got European descent coming out of my ears, and I come from very strong genes. So I'm not, I know what it feels like to be accused of these things when that's not true. But I do know that in the system, that happens a lot. Right. So that's what I'm saying in terms of that. So, but also, you know, what I'm hearing is that there's a place called Sarakafuma, right, which is way on the outskirts of Namibia. Now, people like Charlize Theron. Now, Charlize Theron or Charlize Theron, that's her name, okay? There's no Charlize Theron. That's the fancy Hollywood name. Say Charlize Theron. And more recently, people like Lewis Hamilton, Jose Mourinho, whoever that is, right? Some Spanish dude, some Spanish soccer dude. They all come in here, and what I'm hearing is that they fly to this place called Sarakafuma. You can't get there by road. You have to get there by aeroplane. And it's right on the Kunani River. And it's very close to Damara and Ovareru. Now, the Damara people and the Ovareru people, which borders Angola, right? And you can only, well, basically what happens is then what I'm hearing is that these guys are flying in their Lear jets, and they land at the private airport, Eros Airport in Windhoek. So it's not your international airport, it's Eros Airport in Windhoek. And from there, they go to all these places. And what I'm hearing is they literally go there for like maybe 4 or 5 days tops. Now, this is run by a company called Wilderness Safaris. Now, Wilderness Safaris is very big in South Africa, Namibia, and Botswana. In fact, I knew someone who worked for Wilderness Safaris, but that's going back to the days that I was still living in Johannesburg. So they go to these places, and also Sossusvlei is another place in Namibia, which is very, very well known for, you know, it's a very beautiful place. I mean, Namibia is beautiful. It really, really is beautiful. I've, you know, on some of my trips that I've taken there, I've taken road trips. It's about definitely a 2-day trip. It's 1,800 kilometers from Johannesburg to Windhoek. So you definitely have to sleep over. It is the most beautiful road trip ever. But it's so incredible because, as you know, I'm not sure if you know actually, Namibia used to be Southwest Africa, and then it gained its independence from South Africa in 1990. But it's the craziest thing because as you cross over that border, where, you know, by car, it's like within 5 or 10 miles, the entire vegetation changes. It's suddenly the rock formations change, the bushes change, the whole vegetation, everything changes. So it's really just such a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful country, and it is the place my soul calls home. I'll tell you that much. So I'm very possessive over Namibia. I've been going there for a long time. I've been working with a lot of people there for many years. And I love that place like I was born there. I was born in South Africa, and also my dad had a farm there. So as a kid, I used to go up there on holidays a lot, and it's just beautiful. I've been working there 2-3 times a year. I haven't been going for now while lockdown since COVID, but also I've sort of made a decision that I'm more here for my mom at the moment, as opposed to my traveling lifestyle, which I've had for so many years. But it is my plan to go back to Namibia again next year. But it's just very interesting that these people come in here, and what I'm hearing is they don't go anywhere else. They like land their Learjets in Eros in Windhoek. They fly out in these little 220 Cessna planes. They land at this place called Serikufuma, and I hope I'm saying it right and spelling it right. And it's not advertised at all. So you're not going to find it advertised. So it is now, if you understand our currency, right? Our currency. Right now, our rand is 20-1 against the dollar, or 18 or 19, but call it 20-1. 80, against the dollar. So these places are completely out of our league. These are really, and this is the same thing with a lot of the game lodges and stuff in South Africa. They are not for us. We as local South Africans do not even get a chance to see many of our most beautiful places in our country, because they are specially designed for the international tourists, right? You guys with dollars and pounds and euros and stuff like that. That's who they catered for. So we don't even get to see these places. We don't. And as I said, it's usually the most beautiful, beautiful places on our continent that is exclusively kept for international tourists. And this place is one of them. And as I was saying, you get these guys like Jose Mourinho, Lewis Hamilton, Charlize Theron, Tom Cruise was here not too long ago, also gallivanting up there, if I'm not mistaken. And many of them, because as I said, many of them come here, and lots of the movies, like when you want movies, desert scenes and things filmed, where do they do it? In Namibia. The most beautiful desert is right here, the Namib Desert. It's filmed in Namibia. Why? Because it's cheap. And I think there's for the movie makers anyway. So it really opens up a great big passageway or a door for this kind of nonsense to go on here. And I actually find it quite appalling that this is happening. I'm going to be looking more into these other international celebrities that are coming here. Not necessarily ones that are now like Angelina. And I'm going to be also going into more of her African children that she's adopted, because we know she's only had 3 of her own children, or if they are her own, right? But she's adopted kids from Malaysia as well, right? And also Africa and stuff like that. But not only her, as I said, we're looking at people like Roger Federer, who is the Wimbledon tennis champion, I don't know how many times over, as well as how many other tennis championships he's won. He's well known for having these tennis schools here in Africa. Malawi is a big one he's in as well, where they're pushing the jab. And he's very much linked to the Bill and the Melinda Gates Foundation, right? And what do we know from that? They're pushing the jab. So they're vaccinating our kids. And one of the things we do know in terms of these vaccinations, and I'm going to also go more into that, is that the AIDS vaccine, by the way, was actually created in the 60s in a lab in UCLA by using bovine, cow and sheep cells. Now we know how that has worked, right? They create these viruses from these sick things. You know what I'm talking about. The AIDS virus was created by UCLA. And there are many, many whistleblowers who are talking about this. There's the guys and this is, we're talking on the apartheid era, right? So the whole objective of creating this AIDS virus It first went, first they wanted to test it. And if I remember correctly, it was in San Francisco, because the homosexual community in San Francisco was pretty large. So what they tried to do was test it on the homosexual community there, because what they were saying was that it was the homosexuals then that were carrying this AIDS virus or what have you. But what they then did in the 80s, they started bringing it in here, and all over Africa, they were creating these pop-up clinics, right? And therefore, they were, and the AIDS virus was then put into the smallpox vaccine. So all these pop-up clinics were being created all over Africa, not just South Africa, not just Namibia, all over Africa, right? And the AIDS virus was in the smallpox vaccine. So they infected the majority of the African people with the AIDS virus. Now, I don't have the stats with me, and I'm going to get it for the next time I talk about this. I didn't actually think I was going to be talking about this today, so excuse me for not having the exact stats with me right now. But I'm going to go off the top of my head again, and I'm going to say that I can't remember how many, it's about 75 million people in Africa were infected with AIDS. So what they do is they gave the African governments the smallpox vaccine, right, to prevent smallpox. But then, of course, suddenly now, because Africa is this poor, poverty country, right? Now suddenly we've got the AIDS virus. So what do? They then give us the cure for AIDS, right? The antiretrovirals. But guess what? We have to pay for it. So now if we want to save the African population, we have to pay for the antiretrovirals. And do you think the African governments could afford that? Oh, hell no. Of course not. So what happens then? Simple. We'll give you the antiretrovirals, but we want your resources. So 27 countries, African countries, then had to sign over their resources to America and the UK so that we could get our people saved. That's how the West has taken over Africa, by infecting our people with AIDS. AIDS was supposed to wipe out the African people. Now, I know this because a lot of the guys in the apartheid era were talking about the South African people that were involved in the apartheid era, that were complicit with injecting the African people with the AIDS virus. So this is what they're doing. And this is how they are gaining control over Africa and its people. And this is how we've had to sign over our resources to the West. Nice, huh? This is me off. I got to tell you, I sit here and my stomach is boiling when I talk about these things. But I do know that as long as we are aware of it, as long as we understand what's going on, then we're shedding light on the subject, and the darkness is exposed. So that's pretty much what I have for you in terms of that today. I'm just seeing if there was anything else. But basically, yeah, we're talking about why Shiloh was born in Namibia. That's why. So she basically inherits the spiritual gates for the people. The Khoisan, now we know the Khoisan are the First Nation people. They have got the most unbelievable spiritual gifts. And the thing with the Khoisan people, I've got to tell you this, is that because they are so connected to nature and the earth, right? One can almost say they act as a portal their whole body is a portal. So if you look at the Bushman people or the Khoisan, pretty much, I know it's not the same thing, but we understand it to be the same. Just for context, I'll use it as the same. And the Bushman people are masterful trackers. I mean, they'll track, right? They'll run, they literally run for days and days and days on end. They have the most incredible connection to the earth and to the spiritual world, to their ancestors. So what they do is then they weaponize this against the people as well. So the Khoisan king, by the way, I mean, if you see pictures of him, and again, I'll bring in those a bit later. If you see pictures of him, he's having parties with, I think it was George Soros and the boys. You know, everyone is nice. And I mean, the Khoisan people are skinny people, right? I want to just show you again. Yeah, they are skinny. They are very, very slight people. Here's a picture. So there we go. They are slight, tiny people. The Khoisan king right now, when you see the photographs of him with Bill Gates, I think it was Soros, I can't remember. And I didn't intend to actually speak about this today. But he is as chubby as they come. He's got a belly from here to next week. Now, I'm sorry. Any person who is in his true traditions, right, is not going to... There we go. There's Shiloh, looking like the boy. And a lot of these little Khoisan kids as well. I don't know who the other ones are. But this is them in Namibia, right? You can see that is truly what Namibia looks like. It's a beautiful place, desert. It's just amazing. But as I was saying, the Khoisan king is as fat as what they come now, belly from here to next week. So you can see that man has been living the good life. But what I wanted to say, or what I was still saying about the Khoisan people, is that they have that original key to the earth. They literally, their bodies are portals. So like when the fathers will take their sons, for example, hunting, take them on their first hunt, right? You will often see they have something, scaletium. Scaletium is their plant that they eat. And we call it kochut. Chewing stuff is a direct translation. Ko is chew, chut is stuff. So they all chew it. And it's almost like a hallucinogenic, right? And it gives them that access into the spirit world. So then, for example, they will then connect with the animal. And the animals are usually, their sacred animals are the giraffe mostly, and the gemsbok, which is that beautiful buck with the long straight up horns and this beautiful markings on its face. So then they'll connect with that animal. And then already when they go for the hunt, the animal is already aware, or they're already aware that that animal has agreed to give its life so that they can live. So then they'll hunt, and they'll go after that particular animal. They only hunt with their own bows and arrows that they make, right? And with the concoction of roots and plants and things that they make that actually paralyzes the animal for a certain amount of time or whatever. And if they don't find the animal within said time, the animal gets up and leaves again, right? So it's very fair. And they will literally have this amazing connection with the animal. It's like they'll stand and behind a bush or something, and they'll see the gemsbok. And the gemsbok will smell, for example, and they smell it. It's like this, it's such a sacred, beautiful experience. I mean, I'm not a meat eater and what have you, but if I had to hunt, that's the way I would hunt. That's for sure. So that's why this Angelina is in Namibia, because she's having access to the First Nation people. The Khoisan, or the Bushman people, have got the oldest DNA on this planet, right? So that's why she's after that. Very strong spiritual connections there. And of course, to the animals, the cheetahs, right? And now this whole Shiloh Wildlife Foundation Fund that they've set up in, I think it was 2017, or by 2017, it was already set up, right? So I'm not exactly sure when exactly that was. And of course, the rhinos and the elephant, right? Now, our rhinos are just about extinct. Why? Because these guys come here and they hunt our rhinos for the horn. Why? Because they've got little wieners that size, and they think that by eating the rhino horn, they're going to get a wiener that size. And it doesn't happen that way. The rhino horn is literally, it's made, my friend who works with a wildlife vet says it's like your fingernail, right? It's almost like a nail. So, but that's already what we've been taught. And of course, the elephant for their ivory, and of course, the elephant being the most matriarchal creature on this planet. So that's what they're after. And of course, the spiritual gates, the people, all of that. So when you hear about these people coming and doing their goodwill stuff here in Africa, please know there's no goodwill there. It's all intended to steal and take the energy. And that's why I was saying last week, Angelina and Oprah have got nothing, no good intentions on this continent, that's for sure. And there's many more as well. I mean, I have no doubt Charlize with her shenanigans here, although I'm not sure what old Charlize has done here in Africa in terms of, she's involved. Yeah, of course, she funds the EFF. We know that. So I'm sure there must be a lot of other stuff behind the scenes that she's involved with as well. Yeah, look, there's I mean, Jessica, when you say there's nothing we can do about it, unfortunately, I agree. I agree, but awareness is key. Don't support these people. Don't support their movies. When they start telling you about what they're doing in Africa and all these beautiful children that they're adopting because they're saving Africans from this horrendous life, don't believe it. I'm not saying that there aren't kids and things that are having awful times here. No doubt there are. Yes, there's poverty in Africa for sure. But this is why. Because these big guys come in, and I've said this before, and I'll say it many times, they rape our continent. They use us as the grocery store. They will mine gold, diamonds. And if you heard Caleb's story yesterday talking about diamonds, I mean, diamonds aren't even valuable, right? Yet that's what we've been taught. Diamonds are a girl's best friend, right? So, you know, De Beers diamonds, Anglo-American, all of these things, you know, all funded by who? The Rothschild, right? So if you go back to seeing who the original mining magnates in this country were, it's all going back. I mean, Cecil John Rhodes, he's very, very well hated by the African people. I mean, every time there's something going on, you got to see how many times the African people are burning down statues of Cecil John Rhodes and stuff. He brought that crap in here. He brought the Illuminati into Africa. And, you know, it just hasn't stopped since then. Yeah, I agree with you, Susan. Charities are flesh activities. And it's true, Lorena. Don't give them any praise, period. Exactly. It does make me angry too, Carol. I know we were talking about stuff earlier on Catherine's show where I was like saying, oh gosh, I've got to be impeccable with my word. I'm trying really, because it really, really, really annoys me. And, you know, the bottom line with this is that they've corrupted the African people with money. And, you know, African people are very, very close to the earth. And, you know, an African man without his cow or his cattle or his herd or whatever is not a man. You know, their wealth is pretty much measured by their livestock, their cows, their cattle, all of that. 11, I really enjoy your show. Thank you so much, 11. Is it 11 or 11? And I know my guests are great. Yeah, we have some fantastic guests on ARA. I've got to say, I've wanted to really focus this channel to things that make a difference. So when you're looking at people like Kerry Saint, who's the advocate for adoption, we see how, like, exactly trafficking, what's happening with our kids in Africa. Because when we go back also, we're looking at the hospitals. It's a well-known fact that mothers born with twins, they all come back and they say the one twin has died. And this has been research that's been done into our hospitals. Make no mistake about that. And then the other one is trafficked, usually to Europe, or they're used for organ harvesting, stuff like that. African people, they like the African people in that way because strong organs, African, I mean, you look at the African man, he's strong, people of the earth, right? They've got rhythm. Boy, do they have rhythm, right? and they've got strong connection to the ancestors. So they sing beautifully, they dance beautifully. Just look a few weeks back when I was showing the video of Madonna and her little Esther that comes from Malawi, 11 years old, putting on that stage, making her look like she's some tart that's 18 in boots and all sorts of things. Yeah, Jessica, you're so cute. Thank you. Yeah, no, I was not born a man. Thank you, Simona. I'm very much woman, I'll tell you that much, but they love telling me I'm a man. And by the way, this year is supposed to be my Black Eye Club. A member of the Black Eye Club. It's a birthmark. I wouldn't be struggling with our channel being struck and heavily shadow banned if I was part of the Black Eye Club, that's for sure. But anyway, I'm thinking about being a dual citizen in Africa. Oh, that'll be awesome, Jan. We could certainly do with people like you. I like that. Oh, thank you so much, Susan. Really appreciate your donation. Really, really do. Thank you so much. Really, really appreciate you guys. You support our channel. Really, really do. Thank you so much. We've got some amazing Patreons here, and I really want to say thank you. I want to just see if there's anything else that's come up. Okie dokes. Perfect. And I think that's probably all I have here for today. But yeah, pray for us, please. Pray for our people. You know, they don't deserve what's going on here. And, you know, they're conned into believing that these do-gooders come here and they're going to be injected with their antiviral viruses stuff and what have you, and against all these deadly diseases. Credo Mutwe was South Africa's most highly ordained Sangoma. And that's the Sangoma means medicine man. And he actually died at the age, he was either 92 or 94. And he literally died, it was a day or two before lockdown began. And he said he just couldn't live anymore to witness this evil. And he has been fighting these people for his whole life. He's highly gifted in the spiritual realms. And he spoke out against vaccinations many years ago, getting our kids vaccinated. And he speaks about how they deliberately shut off their psychic gifts, you know. And this is what I'm saying, you know, if you also go back to what Caleb was saying, and Jesse as well, where they feed us food, right, from the beginning, that dumbs us down, that calcifies the pineal gland, right? They feed us foods, the vaccinations that they're giving our babies, our kids already, before they're even in school. How many jabs have your kids had, right? Which is crazy. Anyway, you're welcome. Thank you for covering all of this. I appreciate you guys watching and just being aware, you know, what's going on. As I always say, we are not this pathetic bunch of people. Our people are highly intelligent. They are amazing. They're full of love. They are very, very welcoming. Yeah, Credo Mutwa was an amazing shaman healer. Absolutely. I had the privilege of meeting him a number of years ago. It really, really was a privilege to meet him. He was out there at the cradle of humankind. And I was asked to do some workshops and stuff at the center, which he was... had his name basically, but he wasn't living there at that stage. And it just so happened that he was there that day. And so I had the privilege of meeting him. It was very special indeed. It was such a enjoyable moment. It was short and sweet. I think I was so shocked. But I, you know, took my hand and he said, God bless you. And he said, you're a woman of God. I appreciated that people recognize that. So thank you so much. I want to just see. Yeah, David Icke. I've seen that. I wouldn't actually mind doing that, seeing that interview with David Icke and Credo Mutwe again. Thank you, Jessica. And yeah, we have amazing guests on this channel, and I'll be bringing you guys regular. You know, well, that's what I think on these Friday drop-ins, just to see what's happening here in Africa. So if you guys have any information that you want me to share about this continent and that I can look deeper into, I'd be very, very happy to do that as well. Obviously, I don't know everything, but I do know as well that a lot of the wars that are started here are not what they tell you. We look at, I'm going to be going into the British Royals as well and their connections to Kenya, because they love Kenya. And Kenya, I mean, I've got a good friend who lives in Kenya as well. And one of my other friends, one of my best school friends, in fact, goes and does a lot of work there. She works at the lodges. She's a chef. She's a chef. But one of my Kenyan friends will talk about how the British Royals go there in their big private jets. They've got their own private landing strip. Again, Kenya's an African country, yet there's only white people working there. No African people allowed there. And they question what is coming in and out of these planes that they're bringing in. And then suddenly animals that are endemic to Kenya are now sitting in European zoos somewhere. So they're obviously trafficking our animals as well, which is not in line with the policies of Kenya, right? China's in there big time right now. But the British Royals love Kenya. They love hunting there. They come here. Harry, in particular, a couple of years ago, and William were in here and doing trophy hunting. Oh my gosh. And that's another thing. I mean, seriously, and I'm sorry for all of you who love Trump, but his kids have come in here and they maul our leopard. I have seen whatever Trump kids they are. I don't know which ones. I know one, I think, is Eric, standing happily with a fat smile on his face, having mauled down our leopards and our elephant. The one after they had actually killed an elephant, cut its feet off, right? Because it's disgusting. You know what they do with elephant, the big feet? They make tables out of it, right? Can you imagine having an elephant foot with a glass piece of glass over it? Now that's your coffee table. I mean, have you ever come across anything so macabre in your life? And there he's sitting, holding the tail of the elephant after he's cut it off. It's just disgusting. Seriously, anyone who does that. And I have to say, the one thing about Obama, and make no mistake, I understand completely who Obama is. He stopped, while he was in power, he stopped because what these guys do is they obviously want the head of their trophies, right? So he stopped those trophies from going back over to America. He stopped all of that. But of course, Trump opened up those doors again. So that brought the trophy hunters don't really want to come here. And although they'll tell you that, oh, the meat is going to the villagers, the people. Firstly, the people don't eat lion, right? The African people don't eat lion unless they've been forced to now, and neither do they eat elephant. So, but now they would be eating it because, of course, what they're saying is there's food shortages and stuff like that, so you have to. But they don't come here to shoot an animal for the African people. They come here for the trophy. You want to see what those guys, some of the houses look like, right? You want to see some of those places where these disgusting guys are sitting without hundreds of trophies against the wall. Half of Africa's heads our animals' heads are against the wall. Yeah, the wildlife World Wildlife Fund is royal trophy hunting, exactly, and that was started by Prince Philip, right? And I'm going to do a thing on that, and Bernard of the Netherlands, the WWF, and I've spoken about that before. And since they came into power, that's when our rhinos went extinct, by the way, because they actually opened up those gates for those trophy hunters to come in here. You can see I don't like very much what goes on here. And I'm not a fan of trophy hunting. And I want to just tell you, a number of years ago, when did Corrie Knowles come in here? And he shot one of our last rhino, actually in Namibia. And it was a southern white rhino or something. and he came in here shooting the last of our rhino, and for $250,000. And what did he say? The rhino was mean. He shot the rhino because the rhino was mean. I mean, I mean, in other words, he's talking territorial. The rhino was territorial. Of course, the rhino is territorial, right? But of course, they're going to feed you with crap like that in your ears and tell you the rhino is mean. So that gives him an excuse. And you know what he did? He prayed to Jesus just before he shoots our rhino. Now, I'm sorry, anyone who thinks that is Christian, no. No, 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 no. I will not for 1 second ever think and let anyone tell me that was killed in the name of Jesus. Bullshit. Jesus would not want that to happen. That is not done in the name of the devil, right? So whoever is talking to him and getting him to shoot our white rhino or our last rhino is not coming from Jesus. And then he has this little daughter. And in my opinion, women are the preservers of life, not the takers of life. And that's one thing. I grew up on a farm, right? My father would never, ever allow us girls to go hunting. And there was hunting. Yeah, they did go and shoot springbuck and stuff or watch any slaughtering. I went in once when my parents weren't there. I forced my way in to watch what they were doing, and I'll never do it again. But I'm glad I did. I was 4 years old. I'm with it. I remember it like it was yesterday. I watched our guys slaughter sheep. Never again will I do that. And it was done humanely. You're right. He prayed to a different Jesus. It was not the Jesus that wants our rhino killed. And then he's got his little daughter who is now training to hunt as well. And now there's this whole new range of weapons for girls in bright pinks and purples and stuff like that. So it makes hunting more attractive to girls. Now, in my opinion, right, if you need to provide for your family and stuff like that, and you're a woman, then I say for sure you do what you got to do, right, if that's what you need to do. But for sports hunting, not a chance. But Corrie Knowles, I'll tell you one thing, and if anyone knows Corrie Knowles or about him, Africa will never, ever forget you, and not for the reasons you hope either. And I truly hope my path crosses yours one day, because I'd like to have a word with you about that, about this Jesus that you pray to kill our last rhino. It's a sad day when people think that. Anyway, God bless you all. Have a beautiful, beautiful weekend. And I shall see you on Sunday with Caleb Jade. And next week, we have quite a quiet week, actually, in terms of shows. But we'll see what we can rustle up for you guys. Okay. Have a beautiful weekend, everybody. And thank you again so much for supporting our channel. And thank you for our Patreons. And thank you to Susan Kano. I hope I'm saying your name correctly, for your donation. And as I always like to say, thank you to our Patreons for supporting us. Without you, this channel wouldn't be. You're the nuts and the bolts. And even if you're not a Patreon, you're just a regular viewer and supporter. Thank you. God bless you all. And I'll see you soon.